We're in the upper Namoi Valley, 6 hours drive north of Sydney, with Narrabri, the town, right here. We'll explore that later, along with cotton growing territory, a vivid-like light festival known as NarraBRIGHT. Great characters, ball bars, all ahead in this episode of Travel Oz. G'day, welcome. I'm Greg Granger.
Here's a region with a big telescope array that is helping astronomers around the world get to know our universe better. We've been given rare permission to get out onto one of the dishes. Cotton is king out here as we discover a major cotton gin. We'll get amongst the wildlife as we take in the local national parks, from the geometrically perfect Sawn rocks to snow and its highest peaks, longhorn cattle, a drover's campfire, a friendly fish farm, and lights, camera and action at a new light show. All ahead as we take in the wonders of the Narrabri region.
Good morning, Narrabri. Welcome to Tumax FM. Julie's in the chair. It's a beautiful morning here in the northwest. Have a great day.
Thanks, Julie. It certainly is a great day as we take in the sweeping plains surrounding Narrabri with Tourism Officer Philippa Hooker.
Namoi Valley, beautiful.
It absolutely is. Narrabri claims to be the second largest agricultural region in New South Wales.
Yes.
Huge cropping, particularly cotton and a lot of grains, so wheat, sorghum, things like that, though they are always trying new crops to see what works best.
So you're living here in Narrabri, obviously. What are you finding personally? What do you find as the big attractions?
The big attractions are the outdoors, natural attractions. That's what makes this region so spectacular. The Nandewar Ranges, you've got Mount Kaputar National Park,
Sawn Rocks,
and you have beautiful, stunning views. You're 1,510 metres above sea level at the summit, and boy, those views are amazing.
Closer to town, there's a lake that attracts lots of birds and walkers.
Philip, a glorious lake you've got here.
Absolutely, it's the Narrabri West Lake, which is located right in the middle of Narrabri. It is primarily used, we've got a lovely 3-kilometre track that goes the entire way around.
Right.
People use it for exercising, running with their dogs. And bird life, we have a lot of bird watchers who come here to see all the different birds. It is definitely an area that is well loved and frequented by locals.
Then there's cotton. Our first introduction to cotton is in the Visitor Information Centre, displaying a huge cotton picker.
Cotton picker in your Visitor Information Centre?
I know, it's a pretty cool thing. I don't think any other visitor centre can claim they have one of these.
So how did it happen?
So back when this building was originally built, it was the Australian Cotton Exhibition Centre that was built by the cotton industry, and this cotton picker, this amazing cotton picker, was donated as part of that project. And when the exhibition centre closed down, they let us have the building to be used as a visitor centre, and now we have this amazing picker. Most people don't get a chance to actually see what's happening on a cotton field up close, sadly. Yes. So they'll see all the pickers in the field, they'll see them, but they won't actually get to go in them. So this allows visitors the chance to get up close and personal with it, so they can then know more what's happening out on those fields.
One of Narrabri's larger-than-life personalities is Max Pringle, showing us around Narrabri's historic buildings today.
Well, Max, you're an identity here in Narrabri, also a bush poet. You've written poems here.
I have. I've won some poetry, and my favourite one is Useless, the dog.
You wrote it?
I wrote it, and I've won a few prizes with it.
Useless, the dog?
Useless. That night he chewed the welcome mat, dug holes out in the lawn. I was beginning to regret the day that pup was ever born. He chewed up me best working boots, swung on clothes out on the line. He was good, he was the missus, and when he wasn't, he was mine.
And Narrabri's got a real history, a history with fires that swept through this town.
Matches were on plentiful supply in here in Narrabri, I reckon, over the years.
So look at these impressive buildings. This is the Westpac building, and we're seeing
Yeah.
the fire gutted this building.
Yeah.
The facade remained.
Yeah, and got everyone down too, but not the post office.
So,
Every other building down that part of the street was burnt down.
but it wasn't the only fire. There were 3 big fires here.
Oh yeah, there was another one on the other side of the road from where the best employment is now, which was the Clubhouse Hotel. A fire started in their shed at the back in 1897 and burnt the hotel and every other building down, bar the ANZ Bank.
What's thrived since those fires are the many fine buildings that line Narrabri's main street, with Julie, our 2Max FM morning announcer, delighted to endorse this region.
I love the Narrabri region. It's a country way of life. The mountains, the plains, and of course the people, the community. There's nowhere like it.
From the town of Narrabri, let's head out to an observatory revered by astronomers around the world. One of Narrabri's big claims to fame is its observatory. Here you'll find an array of 6 giant telescopes used by astronomers around the world to study the structure and evolution of our universe. It's one of 4 observatories around Australia run by the CSIRO, with one of their engineers, Peter Merchant, giving me an up-close look today.
We know all about the dish out there at Parkes, but you've got 6 dishes.
Yes, that's right. We've got 6, not as large as the Parkes one.
But they have a vital role when it comes to studying the stars.
That's right, that's right. Part of what they're good for is that because of the spacings that we can get up to 6 kilometres, we can do a level of science that's not possible with a single dish.
And so the 6 dishes are achieving what?
They're all looking at the same astronomical source, whether that's a star, a galaxy, black hole, whatever is of interest to the scientific astronomer. The stars that we see look stationary from the ground, but in reality, when you have this sort of instrumentation, the amount of dynamic activity that's going on with them is just amazing.
You take us up to the top of the array via these steps. Why? What's the reason that you want to go?
Well, we've got very sensitive receivers at the focus of the antenna. The focus point is where we concentrate the signal from the collected surface into a concentrated point, a single point, and at that point we put our receivers.
I know you're not a SETI array. The viewers will want to know, are you detecting any alien life out there?
I don't think so.
No?
No. That's just me. Other people have a different perspective, but that's just me.
Upwards, still more. Peter's going to allow me to step onto the surface of the dish. What a privilege.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
On the dish. How many people get to do this?
Very few in fact. It's a real privilege to be here.
Thanks, I feel privileged. And so this dish, made up of these aluminium plates, all curved, will pick up those signals from so far away. What sort of distances are we talking about?
We're talking many thousands and millions of light years.
So you've got all 6 dishes working in sync with each other.
Looking at the same point in the sky at the same time.
So how many years has this been in operation now?
We're nearing 35 years.
35 years. And what's the future for this array?
I think as long as technology improves, there's always an opportunity. If we think to PCs have changed massively in those 35 years.
Yes.
Another 35 years of the technology that we use will be amazing as well.
Amazing indeed. The most advanced radio telescope in the Southern Hemisphere, drawing scientists from around the world in their quest to unlock the secrets of the universe.
We've travelled an hour south of Narrabri to this delightful small country town, Boggabri, and it's just out of town here. We're in for 2 great experiences. We're going to a drover's campfire and we're going to meet some Texan longhorn cattle.
First though, it's off to Boggabri Station. There's a one-off experience here on a vintage steam train.
There it is, steam train to Narrabri.
This is a 70-year-old express train built in Scotland that used to service Victoria. These days, the distinctively red number R766 is housed in Maitland and is today making multiple runs between Narrabri and Boggabri. We sure hope it'll come back up here one day. But meanwhile, let's take in a Boggabri event that happens once a year, the Drovers Campfire. Up to 1,000 people flock here to watch owner Richard Gillam light up a super-sized campfire.
A damn good campfire for the Drovers Campfire.
We always have a good campfire at the Drovers Campfire. We have to have fire, a lot of stews, great time for people to meet up. They come from all over, pretty much all over Australia really. We've had them from everywhere.
So where did this concept come from?
Started about 14 years ago. Jeff, either my father-in-law, was driving a truck up and down the highway.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of caravanners heading north for the winter months. Thought, how can we stop these caravans in Boggabri?
And you stopped them?
And we stopped them. We stopped, I think he stopped 30 the first year.
Yeah.
And it went from 30 over the series of years to 500.
Obviously there's a campfire at the Drovers Campfire. You've got this beautiful stew.
Stew.
This is a lamb stew.
Stew, dampers, scones.
Yeah.
It all comes out.
So we're watching you work those sheep here today. The dogs are running them through
Through the draft, yeah. The dogs are part of our life. They live pretty close with us all the time.
Time then to catch a sheep and to shear it. Not just any shears though, Richard's doing it the old-fashioned way.
So Richard, click go the shears.
Click go the shears, boys. Click, click, click. This is where it came from, but their shears were a lot sharper than mine.
So this is the old-fashioned way, of course. Running back how long in Australian history?
Oh, this is how it all started for Australia. Wool was worth a pound a pound. Made a lot of money for people.
Yep.
And the hand shears is how it was all done.
So of course you've got the electric shears, and we're seeing you and your colleagues into some sheep in the modern way, of course.
Yeah, 3 generations of us here on the property. Shearers. No one comes into the family that doesn't learn how to shear. And we know how to shear with the hand shears. It is a way of life. If you came to make a lot of money, you're probably not going to do it. They reckon the easiest way to make $1 million is to start out with 2.
Woolly fleeces here can command up to $176. Part of the Drovers Campfire experience involves Richard's neighbour, Jeff Dawson, who runs a herd of Texan Longhorn cattle.
So Jeff,
Yes.
Longhorn
Greg.
cattle.
Yes.
Looks dangerous.
Yeah. Can still be dangerous, but I used to say to our kids, you've got to be mindful that they're beasts.
Yes.
Luckily, Rastus he's nearly 14 years old. He's had a lot of training when he was younger, and he's very quiet. And obviously food helps, but you've still got to be mindful that the horns could move, a little bit either side. So, yeah, but he's very gentle. Last time he went to the Gunnedah show, he was probably about 4 years old, so that's about 10 years old. And I often say to people, he actually tickled me in the ribs a little bit. Now, there was no malice in his case doing that. What it was he'd been penned up in a rather large pen, but for 3 days, and he was that excited to get out. I had to walk him down to load him on a truck, and he was running along like this, and I happened to get in the way, and he just gave me a tickle in the ribs. But yeah, his nature is very, very good.
From Boggabri to another colourful town, this time west of Narrabri.
What an impressive 3-storey hotel we've got here in Weewar. Now this was built in 1912 after the original 2-storey hotel was burnt down by fire. So Weewar, plenty of history here in the cotton capital of Australia.
There's a picture of the original hotel surrounded by floodwaters. But how about this? The entire town of Weewar cut off. Still happens this very day. Indeed, a rich history here in Weewar. So many homes of charm and character. Not to mention their comprehensive Namoi Eco Museum. And who's staffing that today? Julie, our Narrabri radio announcer.
Good morning, Greg. Welcome to Weewar.
So tiny schoolhouses you have out here.
We certainly do. We certainly do.
Well, that was back in the Second World War, but how many kids would have been educated in this tiny
About a
schoolhouse?
dozen children from the surrounding properties.
Yeah, so 3 families, as I understand it, would have arrived on a horse and sulky loaded with kids, and in they'd go into this tiny classroom.
And the one-person school teacher as well.
Yeah, yeah. So it shows what small communities there were, but still with a good education.
Exactly, like they had to do something for the children to get them educated living out of town, and so they built the little schoolhouse, which is wonderful.
Into the main museum building, Julie leads us.
Crop duster dangling from the ceiling, all this cotton. This is a wonderful display, the history of Wee Waa.
It is, and our beautiful horse and buggy here been lovingly restored. It is quite a feature of our museum.
Well, you've got some mighty big wagons here.
This one beautiful wagon was built in 1912 in Yarrie near Tamworth. It was used to cart wheat and cotton and wool. Our beautiful wagonette here has been in the Hall family for 4 generations, and it is kindly on loan to our museum.
Julie, you pay tribute to the Aboriginal history of Wee Waa.
We do, the Camilleri tribe, and our beautiful display here, the last corroboree was held in Wee Waa in 1905.
And the displays here would have shown how Indigenous people lived before the arrival of Europeans.
Exactly, and as we have an actual size man, woman and child, and that was actual size. So the gentlemen were like over 6 foot tall.
Yes, and all the displays here, these are genuine artefacts.
They certainly are, yes, they are genuine artefacts, and one of the local Indigenous painted our mural, so that makes it that much more special.
Time then to take in some attractions surrounding Wee Waa. To the west, the artesian bore baths at Pilliga. Their natural healing waters have been flowing for over a century. And to the east, trucks loaded with cotton, heading into a huge cotton gin. This is the Oscott Cotton Facility that operates 24 hours a day, cleaning all of the cotton that's been picked on surrounding properties. With the gin's works manager, Mark Noble, showing us around.
So Mark, cotton, 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 we're seeing it in all fields here. We're seeing it being driven in on these big semis. Yep. We're seeing it unloaded. They're into these modules. Lots of cotton. Your cotton picking is only just coming to a close, and yet the cotton's still flooding in here.
So we're looking at processing about probably 320,000 bales, which are the small bales, the finished product.
Yes.
So we're processing those 24 hours a day. From these round modules, we're actually getting about 4 bales per module. So on a good day, we're hitting about 650 of these bales a day through the plant.
So this would be one of the biggest cotton gins in Australia, would it not?
Beside throughput, probably one of the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere, yes, for sure.
Wow. So you've had the cotton pickers picking their hearts out. They've created the modules. They've been brought in with these big semis. And now we're watching them unload with these magnificent vehicles.
These are moon buggies.
Moon buggies?
Moon buggies, yeah. So, no, we've got 3 of these on site. We've got obviously 2 cotton gins here on the one side. So, running, as I say, 24 hours a day, 12-hour shifts. So,
big process. So
pretty busy.
What's happening to the cotton fibres in this gin is that they're being cleaned. Cleaned of their sticky seeds, cleaned of any dirt or rubbish. The automated process can handle more than 1.5 million cotton bales every year.
Once we've got the cotton clean, we then separate the lint from the seed.
Yes.
The seed goes off for crushing or sale overseas, and the lint is processed and shipped offshore for spinning. The bales you'll see as you go through, every bale is individually classed. So once the classing results are through, they'll get packaged up and trucked off to various merchants who will sell the cotton on from there. Cotton's king as far as crops go. It's a good crop, and we process a lot of cotton in Australia. We'll be well over 5 million bales again this year.
Cotton, king of the crops, a multi-million-dollar winner for the Narrabri region. Another thriving enterprise out of Narrabri is the fish farm. This is the largest hatchery-based aquaculture farm in the state, with Rick Cunningham, the brains and brawn behind this project.
Little golden perch.
Little goldie,
So-
little buck.
So this little dam is just stocked with these.
There'd be close to 30 of these, mainly used for breeding.
How many fish do you have on this fish farm of yours?
When it comes to breeders, probably close to the 200 mark. And then when it comes to baby fish, like stuff in these little ponds next to us, there's close to 100,000. So
100,000 fish you've got?
That's my sort of main target, is the baby ones, so I can do me stuff and sell them off to people that grow them in their ponds. And
So talk us through your process. You're basically breeding small fish to give to other people to breed bigger.
Yep, and we do a lot of river restoration, restocking, that sort of stuff. So that's my main thing I do out here, which is, breed a lot of little stuff and then on shoot them into the rivers and that sort of stuff.
Right, and you've got some big breeding pens as well. So talk us through, I see some yabbies here.
Yeah, so there's about 40 yabby dams that we use as grow, bait, breed, whatever situations.
You've got dams all over this property.
Yeah, there's about close to 100 dams now, so.
100 dams, most of them full of fish.
If they've got water in them, there's something in there.
So what are these little fellas?
Silver perch. So we've got roughly 60,000 in ponds.
Tiddlers now?
Yep.
How big they grow?
6 kilos is the biggest one I've ever seen.
Catfish. Now, I thought catfish were a species that weren't very desirable.
It's up in the air with that. They've been sort of underrated for years. They were here when I first bought the place, and now we've sort of figured out how to do it properly, and it's going really well. We actually just did our first ever catfish river release a couple of weeks ago in Deniliquin.
From Rickeney's Fish Farm, we prepare to explore the national parks around Narrabri.
One of the great experiences out of Narrabri are the national parks. Now to the north of here, Mount Kaputar National Parks. If you're there on the right day, you might even see snow. Certainly great views. And to the south here in the Pilliga forest, we've got the Timalali National Park. Again, great views from this wonderful tower.
That Forest Lookout Tower is a great place to start. Now I'm clambering skywards today with Discovery Ranger Bevan Wallace. Surrounding us, seemingly endless forests, rugged beauty on a grand scale, with views right across to distant mountain ranges like the Warrumbungles.
Now this tower we're on now, this is for tourists.
Yes.
But the original towers were fire towers.
Yep, they were. They were put up here for people to come out during the summer months to look out for the smoke and to report back for fire.
Below the tower, a formation known as the Salt Caves, once lined with impressive stalactites.
Salt. You just got to touch the rock and taste, and it sure tastes salty.
Yeah, if you wet it down a bit, you can just get a smidgen of the salt. But apparently ages ago, when the stalactites were here, they used to cut them off and take them to preserve meats and that. And if you have a look around, those rocks were up above us before.
Yes.
And they've dropped down over the years.
And so we can understand why this would be so salty. This would have been a sea. Sea levels would have been much higher, and the salt would have solidified down here in this cave. It would have been quite a sight.
To the north, the Mount Kaputar National Park, where we find a smoking ceremony underway at the Derria Aboriginal area. Stephen Booby looks after this site and is proud to explain the area's Aboriginal heritage.
Greg, how are you, my friend?
This is something special. We've got a smoking ceremony taking place here.
We do have a smoking ceremony taking place here.
For what reason?
This is a bit of a reconnection this reason. There's multiple different smokings. So I've got members of my family, my mum, my dad,
Lovely.
niece, nephew, auntie, uncle, cousin, and also members of the Derria Aboriginal Area Joint Management Committee.
So you say a reconnection?
Yes.
Meaning what exactly?
It's actually a reconnection to who we are and what we are and where we come from, where we're literally born from, and the cultural practice of our ancestors, the legacies that they've left us. So that's why we're here doing this smoking ceremony.
What the Derria site looks onto are the ranges of the Mount Kaputar National Park, Soaring to over 1,500 metres, there's an unspoilt majesty here, a place of rejuvenation and invigoration, as I'm discovering today with National Parks Ranger Louisa Anderson.
Top of the world, Lou.
That's it, doesn't get much better.
Now you can see, we're at 1,500 metres, you can see a lot of New South Wales here.
Sure can. You can see about 10% of New South Wales.
Down to the Warrumbungles.
Yep, Warrumbungles, the Pilliga. It's quite impressive.
Now this is your job, you're a ranger, you're up here at least one day a week. You're doing backburns, you're keeping the place protected from bushfires.
Yep, no day's the same.
Hard job.
That's it.
So, pink bugs up here, of course. We're going to go and see some of the little pink...
The Kaputar pink slug?
Yes,
Yeah.
wow. And they only come out in damp weather, do they not?
Yeah, they do prefer the damper habitat.
Wow. Now, what about snow? No snow today, but our cameraman captured some beautiful shots not too long ago of a rare snowfall up here on the summit of Mount Kaputar.
In winter, it does get pretty cold, Greg, as you can see today.
And windy.
And windy. But in summer, it's a nice escape from the heat.
Another top escape in the park is this one.
And Lou, the other great attraction here at Kaputar National Park is Sawn Rocks.
It is definitely one of Australia's most spectacular examples of organ piping,
Yes, yes, yes.
otherwise known as columnar jointing.
You've certainly got those huge spires, and they're big, aren't they? They're not only, what, 40 metres out of the ground?
They're also about 30 metres in the ground as well.
Wow. Nature's done a pretty damn good job here, these pentagons, neatly five-sided.
Yeah, there's not much in nature with a straight line, and here it is in front of us. Just the sheer size is incredible.
So, rocks have fallen onto their side.
It almost looks like a stairway to heaven.
Stairway to heaven, you can walk those 40 metres right up to the summit there, towering right over us there. Now, in terms of visitor numbers, big numbers here?
Sawn Rocks would definitely be one of the most popular visitation areas of the park and Narrabri region. I mean, the views are just spectacular.
Yeah, well,
lucky. Call this my office.
This is your office,
Yeah.
sure.
Another day, another outdoor office in nature. This is Yarrie Lake, perfectly circular in shape because it was formed by a meteor. The man whose office this is Lester Kelly.
Lester, a perfect circular lake, Lake Yarrie.
Yes.
Why?
Isn't it fantastic? Because a meteor was supposedly hit here thousands of years ago.
I would have thought tens upon millions of... Anyway, the meteors come in, bang, splash. There would have been no water.
No. Straight into the sand and then bounced about 10k over that way and made round swamp too.
Wow. So a meteor lake, Lake Yarrie, and of course these days perfectly circular, which means you can water ski and all sorts of activities. Plenty of yabbies here.
Yes, very good. A lot of the grey nomads like them as an entree. It's from this big to this big.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You cook a few up?
And we taught the grandkids how to grab them properly though.
From Yarrie Lake, we're heading back into Narrabri. There's a vivid style light show being staged. Welcome to NarraBRIGHT, all part of Narrabri's larger Create Festival. 8 buildings in Narrabri's main street have been illuminated as part of a campaign to get people to shop and dine in the town centre. Gillian Goddard is one of the organisers.
So Gilly, you're turning on the lights?
Yes, I'm a part of a team at Narrabri Shire Council's turning on the lights at NarraBRIGHT Street Festival.
So NarraBRIGHT, is this a mini Vivid like Sydney?
To a degree, it's a nod to our local businesses and celebrating our amazing cultural heritage and amazing people that make up this region. And I certainly think we draw a little bit of inspiration for Vivid, bringing a bit of that to the bush.
So we're certainly looking at some wonderful buildings lit up here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some amazing architectural buildings in Narrabri, and it's just beautiful to be able to highlight them and our local businesses and bring people together. We certainly had so many people turn out, we were overwhelmed, and we look forward to having many more NarraBRIGHTs in the future.
NarraBRIGHT. As we say, good night to the Narrabri region.